Shameless plug incoming. Today's episode is brought to you by the book Everyone is a Sinner But Me, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Pre-recorded from Volpes Studios, it's the MCS1 show featuring Caleb Hanna, and now your host, MCS1.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of the MCS1 show. I'm MCS1. Once again joined via satellite, my dear compadre, Caleb Hannon. Hi, Caleb.
What is up, Mark?
Oh man, I got something fun for you today, Caleb, or fun for everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, today we have an awesome topic. I am so pumped about this. This is just outlandishly ridiculous. So today, everyone, we're going to be talking about something really, really funny, and interesting. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and we'll get into this a little bit. But I want to talk about how we got to this point. As I mentioned, like nearly every show, we've had like a tentative show schedule.
Right.
That I made like, I don't know, last year, and I was like, this is the flow, this is the format, and then we're only going to change it unless something comes up. And I was looking at the schedule, and I was like, man, I really want to talk about this subject. And the way I had it slated, we weren't going to be talking about this until November. I know, right? And looking back, I was like, what was I thinking? That was so stupid. Because it is such an interesting topic, and I've been wanting to talk about it for like a year and a half. I've had this like in like little side notes in my notebook about wanting to talk about it, and the time just never it didn't really feel right because we had so many other things to talk about. I mean, with all the fuck ups that VidAngel has, all the bullshit that happens in Happy Valley.
I mean, when is it gonna end?
I know, seriously. And then, we haven't even got to cover that damn Juggalo March yet from last year.
What the heck, man?
I know. It's on the schedule. I promise, guys.
We'll do it eventually, okay?
I like how I moved this up, and this potentially moved the Juggalo March back.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a byproduct of moving this up, but...
Yeah.
But it was a necessary move, everyone, so... Put your pitchforks and your torches away.
When we get into the Juggalo March, trust.
You can bring them back out for the Juggalo March, but right now,
oh man,
listen, Juggalo's rights are safe. Okay,
I can't believe that's another thing we're going to cover.
I can.
I
mean, we have an entire show dedicated to the you don't even know guy.
I know. Gosh, yes.
You know,
actually, you don't even. No,
you don't even know what our show's about anymore.
Yeah, you don't even know. Oh my! All right, let's get to it. Dunning-Kruger effect. This is fun. This is so much fun. So, gosh, there's so much I want to talk about this. We got so much to say.
Well, let's start with just a simple explanation of what it is.
Okay. Do you have a really simple explanation for it, or do you want me to go? Because I don't have I don't have a good one-liner. I kind of have a little bit of one, but there's so much more to it.
Okay, how about this? I'll give mine, and then if you don't think it's enough, you give yours.
Let's do both either way. I think yours is going to be pretty good.
Fair enough.
You go first.
Sure. Totally fair. So basically, from what I understood, and I actually went and read a couple of articles after I watched that video because it was interesting to me.
Yeah, I sent Caleb a TED Talk about this.
Which we all know how I feel about TED Talks.
Yeah,
but
it was very anti-TED Talk, which made it even funnier because I had a lot of informative videos that I saw on YouTube. And I was like, I want to give Caleb an idea of what this is, but I want to piss him off at the same time.
You're such a dick.
So I thought about doing several things. I thought about Rickrolling you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with Rickrolling, it is where you link a Rick Astley video of Never Gonna Give You Up.
Never gonna give you up.
It's just such a ridiculous thing.
I love that.
And you say it's a link to something else, and they open up this video.
Yeah.
What's this? I introduced this to Shane Barker when I first got to Utah.
Oh, by the way, screw you, Shane.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
continue.
Screw you, Shane. I know you're not listening, but screw you. Well, we got that out of the way.
Every show, man. Every show. It's a staple.
Every show. I introduced him to Rick rolling, and like he took it to a new extreme. Like I would be at Toys. We went to Toys R Us one time, and I walked around the corner. And he goes, "Hey, Mark, come here." I walked around the corner, and he holds out his phone, and he just starts playing the Rick Astley Rickroll song.
Oh,
It was
wow.
like Rick rolling in real life. It was insane. Some of the stuff he was doing. I'm just like, oh man, this has gone too far. Anyway, thought about Rick rolling you, and then I thought about linking you the Tim Timmerman Hope of America trailer.
Oh no!
Because I know how you feel about that.
I would have pulled out a shotgun and ate a bullet or ate a shell right then. You and I. Okay, no.
So I thought about doing that, and then lastly, I settled on a TED Talk,
which is fine.
Which I feel is the least evil of those three options.
Well, yes.
Anyway, I sent Caleb a TED Talk about this phenomenon to get him started, and then after this, Caleb got so interested he just started researching the hell out of it as well.
Well, that's what I do, man. That's what I do. You know, if you give me something that I like, you know, or something that I at least find fascinating, then I'm going to research the shiz out of it. Like I'm not going to stop until it's done. But okay, so basically, what I've kind of surmised from it, and this is just based on some, you know, a few different things that I've read on it, but it's basically the one-liner that I developed, and I'll explain the one-liner afterwards. But the one-liner is it's the phenomenon where competent people feel that they are incompetent, and incompetent people feel that they are competent, thus proving that ignorance is the ultimate form of bliss.
Interesting.
I'll explain. I'll explain now just a little bit. So the reason ignorance is bliss on the side of the competent man who feels incompetent is that if he hadn't done the work to get to the level of competency that he was at, he would think himself a smarter man. But on the flip side, the person who didn't do the research feels happy, and they feel like they are good at these things, even though they are not.
Yeah. So my one-liner on this, without getting into an explanation, actually, I'll probably get into an explanation.
Do it anyway. Why not?
It was something I said a lot about everyone in Happy Valley, and so this kind of fits. It was and it's only it only explains half of this. It's dumb people thinking they're smart.
Right.
And then
the idea of that illusory superiority, basically.
Yes, it is. And the whole Dunning-Kruger effect explanation is basically you have someone who doesn't know much about a subject, but feels like they know everything, and they just kind of ramble on about it. It's basically the jackass uncle at Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I feel that's a good way to describe it. The jackass uncle in Thanksgiving that everyone just kind of hates. It's a huge blowhard. Yep. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have people that know a lot about something, but they don't feel as competent because it's like, you know so much, but you realize you can't know everything. And so you realize the variables of things.
Right, which is actually something that Albert Einstein said a lot. You know, and this is a real Albert Einstein thing, not a that happened style setting. But
do you want to explain that happened? Sure. I don't think we brought this up on the show. It's been a running joke with us.
Right.
In our little chats, but I don't think we've ever brought it up on the show that happened.
Right. So we've explained how little I like Reddit. But the one Reddit subreddit, I guess is what they call it. I call it a Reddit chain because I'm ignorant and I don't know any better.
Either way.
But the one Reddit thing that I really like is this thing called That Happened, which is like that sarcastic, like eye rolling. Oh yeah, that totally happened.
Yeah, that happened.
And the one that they always point back to is the little that stupid story where it's like that.
Oh yeah, Albert Einstein in school, and I know this one, this fake news type thing that was floating around Facebook where he goes to school and the teacher writes up like, or is with his mom or something, and teacher writes up some note like your son is an idiot or a retard, and gives this note to the mom, and the mom just takes him home crying and homeschools him, and the kid's like, what's the note say? And she's like, nothing. or whatever. Then that kid grew up to be smart, and that kid was Albert Einstein.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
that
And like the
whole
mom was Britney Spears
ridiculous.
or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
something like that. But anyway, so not getting into it too much, but that's kind of the whole thing. But this is an actual Albert Einstein quote that I have from a book that he wrote called Essays in Science. And within that book, he writes a lot of different of his his discoveries. But the final note in the book, and this is really awesome and super telling, is he says, "Now the thing that I would have everyone understand is that the more that I learn and the more that I understand, the more that I know that I have that there is an infinite level of things to learn and understand, and I feel like I know and have learned even less." And it's just that whole kind of idea where it's just like the more that he learns and the better he gets at certain things, the more he feels incompetent in his in his studies.
Yeah, because it's like at that point you're trying to do something as well as you can competently, right. And not like have like a perfection mindset, but something similar to that.
Right, but the strife for completion,
Yeah, exactly.
Human beings, we have this innate sense that that everything needs to have a completion. That's why when you have a book that ends on a cliffhanger, it feels incredibly unsatisfying. Because it's like, what's the end? And it's that's the kind of thing that happens is we need that completion. We can't have the open-ended story ending, which is why, that's actually one of the draws that people have towards authors like R.L. Stine. Most of his books end in cliffhanger. No, I'm serious. People like, there's a lot of people that can say like, oh, Stine wasn't that great, but honestly, that guy, he could write a dang good story. Yeah, he made him juvenile for kids, but even if you look at the literary structure and the tools that he was using, they're actually pretty fast. It's actually very fascinating and awesome the way that he would, elaborate on characters and the way that he would finish books, and that's where his famous quote, R.L. Stein's quote comes in. Every story has a beginning, a middle, and a twist. He doesn't say an end. There's never an end. It's always a twist.
What a twist.
Yeah, it's just kind of the funny little thing that he always does,
Interesting. Back to the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect, not R.L. Stine.
Yeah, not R.L. Stine. So the take we're going to talk about today is not the experts, really. We're going to be talking about the blowhards.
Oh, man. And I have so many stories, but we're going to just maybe highlight a couple.
Yeah, I have a series as well. I selected some of the better ones.
Sweet. I'm excited.
To talk about this, but I wanted to not only talk about the stories, what I have, but talk about these people in general that, like, I don't want to say suffer from this because, like kind of like you said, Caleb, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
But people that don't realize they're suffering and they have this.
Right.
That sounds so mean, but it's true. And the thing is, as we're talking about this, you and I were thinking about people that we know personally that totally have this.
Right.
Co-workers, family members, teachers. I mean, the list is kind of endless.
Well, yeah, and as it should be, to be honest.
As it should be. And there's a lot of common denominators with these people. But one that I notice is these people lack something, what's called metacognition.
Right.
And this is the ability to like step back and evaluate what you do.
Right.
It's
right.
a form. It's kind of a form of social awareness, and putting it in like pop psychology terms.
Right.
And it allows you to see how your actions impact others, as well as how you are doing and ranking up with the actual subject you think you're good at.
Yeah, and the way that I kind of understood it, and one of the terms that I read today is by going through a few of a few different papers on this and a few different research articles on this, is basically they lack first of all they lack a certain form of empathy, which is where they're able to again step out of themselves, see it from someone else's point of view. But what it's called is it's called the and I'm probably going to butcher this term, but I'm going to try my best anyway. But it's basically the idea of shoot, where did it go? Okay. Social intelligence-based, or social and intelligence-based empathy, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Because social intelligence, I don't want to like call it like awareness. I mean, they're kind of the same a little bit, but I feel like social intelligence is actually just like knowing things, and awareness is just like being able to pick up on things like cues.
Right. Yeah, like certain social cues. Yeah, absolutely.
Like when, it's an hour and a half past a party and you're still hanging out at your friend's place and they're opening up the door and they're pointing outside and you're sitting there like, wonder what's going. I wonder, is it warm in here? Like,
do you guys want to play some Risk? You guys want to play some Risk?
Things like
or Monopoly.
Yeah,
play Monopoly. That's short.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it.
And then, so let's talk about some examples a little bit of some of these people. These people suffering, air quotes, from the Dunning-Kruger effect. Everyone, and this is the easy go-to for this. Everyone loves to point the finger at Donald Trump on this.
Right. Everybody points it, and it's kind of funny to me.
It really is, especially with this subject. I don't want to get too much into it, but like the things he talks about, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know about this," and it's like he doesn't know, and it's obvious he's BSing,
right?
Type of thing. But I don't want to get into that because everyone else is doing that, and and people listen to this show for a bit of a different taste. So I took a little bit of a spin on the opposite side of the spectrum. And I thought about where I've seen this for a long time, but it really hasn't come out. But the Hollywood celebrities.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
Because seriously,
that's a good one.
You have these people that are very successful in acting and media and entertainment, very successful, and a lot of them think they know, like, understanding politics and world relations and things like that, and they really don't.
Nothing. They understand. Like like my favorite is when Leo DiCaprio lectured everybody on carbon footprint and then drove away on his airplane.
Yeah, and that's hypocritical. My favorite example of this that I have seen is it was on Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher.
Of course.
I'm a big Bill Maher fan. I love Bill Maher. Very educated, humorous guy. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says. Not to get on a political platform or anything. But he had a panel of guests, as he often does. And he had a guy on there, Sam Harris. Are you familiar with Sam Harris?
Yeah, actually. So this is just a super quick, funny side note. So one of the links to that TED Talk video that you gave me is Sam Harris talking about the Dunning and Kruger phenomenon, and I was like, "But this applies to you more than most people, Sam."
I don't know. Like he's interesting because he's a neuroscientist.
Sure.
I mean, he's an interesting guy. I have mixed feelings about him, but that's besides the point. But the guy, he's kind of he's basically like the model for atheists. If you're not a big Richard Dawkins guy.
Yeah, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but anyway.
Yeah, I prefer, if I had to pick one, I'd take Sam Harris over Richard Dawkins personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins kind of an ass.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and Sam's an ass, but less of an ass, and he's like someone I would hang out and party with.
What about Christopher Hitchens, man?
I'm not really familiar with him.
Okay, look him up. He's great.
But anyway, outside of the atheist I would or wouldn't hang out with topic. So he's on Bill Maher, and Ben Affleck's on there.
Oh, gall.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a huge Batfleck fan.
Sure, that's
Ben,
fine.
And I think Ben Affleck is a talented actor, a talented director. I was the first one on the Batfleck bandwagon. I'm going to be the last one off after it crashes into the Batmobile or whatever the hell.
I was going to say, is it still going?
Yeah, I know. And so he starts getting into it with Sam Harris, a guy who studies religion a lot and like the effects of it on the mind. And he runs a podcast on like religion. He's wrote books. And then you have Ben Affleck, who
who was in a movie sometimes.
Who as far as religion things go or books, he's not really in that,
Well, he's not very well read.
No. He's a great writer. Good Will Hunting, him and Matt Damon.
Sure.
But he but as far as this goes, he's way out of his league. And so he's trying to go toe to toe with Sam Harris. And Sam just like rips him apart. And Ben, he's getting emotionally charged, and Sam's just like keeping his cool. And then Bill's trying to moderate this, but he's like so agreeing with Sam. It's like, Ben, this is not what we're saying. You're trying to twist it around, but what we're saying is this type of thing. But Ben's so Dunning-Kruger in full effect here. He's just going all at it like he has to be right, and he doesn't see that he's not.
Well, yeah. I mean,
he's a celebrity. So he's a celebrity, and I'm sure he's been around a lot of yes men.
Yep.
And that, what happens with a lot of Hollywood people. And so that it just like feeds into the Dunning-Kruger type thing. And they think because I am successful financially that I must be good at everything, because apparently money is the new way to value your value in the world.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that can be true as long as we're talking about money.
Yeah, I know. And it could be true for a lot of other things, but, you'll meet some people that are like, like certain celebrities that you see like during interviews, and you're like, wow, you were terrible. How are you successful at this? Anything, like any interview with what's that dork's name? The dork from Twilight.
Oh, Pattinson?
Yeah, him. Like all his interviews, he's just like, what the hell? Type of thing. And it's like, how do you become a famous actor? Things like that. And the guy's rich.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not the best example, but there's tons of others out there like this. So let's get into some stories that I have with the Dunning-Kruger effect. I got about like 2 or 3 of these suckers, and they're pretty good. I'll be quick with them, but they're interesting. But and then we'll wrap up with Caleb with his story, because I'm not gonna lie, his kind of trumps mine. Like,
well,
a lot
this time.
Yeah, his is really, really good. Yeah, definitely beats the crap out of mine. Not that mine aren't funny or interesting, but Caleb's is pretty good. Like you don't even know how good it is. So,
we don't know. We won't even know how good it is until we get there.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, I'll start off with like, I encountered the Dunning-Kruger effect so much in Happy Valley. It might as well have been like its catchphrase, Happy Valley, Utah, home of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like, it was just that prevalent there. And the first place that I really encountered it was during my studies, wrapping up my undergrad at the university that I never mentioned my name, but I really hate. Like,
fair enough.
A ton. My biggest regret in life is actually going to this school. Like, hands down, no joke. And so when I was there, I majored in film for a long time.
Sure, like you do.
Yeah. And all the teachers in the film department, they were just terrible. they would throw out like these half facts. Pretty much is the best way to describe it. Like they knew everything. It was just ridiculous. And a lot of the film teachers there didn't really have like any decent credentials. A lot of them just worked on Touched by an Angel because it was filmed in Utah.
Right.
And then I think one of them, like that was working on it, found a cushy job at this university, and then snagged all of his lame, like, I don't know, loser friends is probably the best way of putting it, and just have them start teaching. Anyway, there was one teacher in particular there that just would he was just terrible at like kind of everything. I was actually talking to another teacher about him once, and they're like, yeah, he's just not very good at communicating, what he's thinking and thoughts and ideas. And I'm thinking, why is this guy a teacher then? Like, well, isn't that the whole idea of teaching? But anyway, aside from that, with teachers throwing out like these halfbacks and things like that, this particular teacher would constantly ramble about the Hollywood film industry that he never worked in, and his lack of ability to recite any information, period, like to a direct source, was super hilarious. His favorite thing to say in class was how it takes 10,000 hours of practice to master something. And he would say it like this. He'd be like, they did a study and found out that it takes 10,000 hours of practice if you want to play at Carnegie Hall. And he would constantly say this. It was something he would say.
Did he go ahead and put quotes around that study?
My gosh, no. He didn't even quote. Or he didn't even quote they, like air quotes. It was just straight up bad. And so I got real tired of this. I wanted to know where this came from. And so one day I called him on it. And he's like, well, and I was like, where'd it come from? And he's like, and after a while of this, he's like, oh, the New York Times. That's it. Well, it wasn't the New York Times. It's actually from the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It wasn't really a study. It was just like an observation of commonalities between successful groups of people.
Which, that's totally fine. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, I observed. This is something that, I've seen before. But it's like, he's not like saying, so after extensive research.
Yeah, he makes it sound like tons of researchers and grad students got together or whatever in conjunction with the New York Times and research firms and all this to create this right. study. And it's like, no, not really. And in addition to that, this 10,000 hours thing was just like some motivational bullshit to have his film students work our asses off to try to be the next Spielberg. And I just never bought into that. But anyway, moving away from that, the other time I encountered the Dunning-Kruger effect a lot, probably the more one of the more frequent times, because it was like a regular basis, was when I was working as an apartment manager. And I would constantly battle idiot tenants in the regard of what was in their lease and what was legal. It seems like every renter I had in Happy Valley had like a lawyer to fight their late fees or something.
Yeah, what's with that? Everyone here is like, oh, I totally have a lawyer.
Yeah, I just have a lawyer,
He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you with some stuff.
It's more like I have a friend in my church congregation that is planning on going to law school.
Oh
like that's really what it is. But they all have a lawyer, but they're renting. It's like if you can afford a lawyer, you can buy a house and not deal with renting. But I would mostly get challenged all the time about the stupidest stuff. I would have people quote things that weren't in their lease that they never read. Like when they would fill out their contracts, I'd be like, hey, before you sign this, you should really read it. And, it's like 8, 12 pages, somewhere in there, depending on the property. And they're like, look through it, like, oh, yeah, this is good. Yeah. Yeah, about 30 seconds to a minute later, they say, here you go. Do you want a copy of this for your reference? No, man, I'm good. Yeah, it looks good, man. Yeah. And then they come in like a couple weeks later after, they're sent a notice saying their rent is late. We're going to kick them out. And then they start challenging me, trying to fight me on things and all this other stuff that, one, these things that they're quoting aren't in their contract. And two, they're trying to recite laws that aren't real, that I don't know where they get the ideas of these things, but they were really trying. And then even after I would let them know that what they were saying isn't real and physically point it out to them in the lease, they would still try to fight it. It's just like bullshit never ceases. Like they were just so set on being right. It was a little ridiculous. And then I go through, and then I go through this, and then I go through the same thing a month or two later when they would forget again.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just forget.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So and that's what would happen with these people. They would fight until I proved them wrong. Then they'd go again. Then I'd run out of steam. Eventually, pay up and admit defeat, and then go back to their daily duties of being a full-time asshole.
And then when they get back to their part-time job of also being an asshole, they would come back and complain about the rent.
I know, seriously, and then threaten legal action. Like that's my favorite thing. They're always so quick to go to their lawyer. Right. That I know that I know they don't have. I'm like, listen,
but then they're all also like paralegal somehow, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you want a lawyer up? We have a lawyer on retainer too.
Yeah, you kind of have to if you're, running a rental place because of, b-holes like these guys.
Seriously, so many b-holes. And then finally, the last place where I encountered the Dunning-Kruger effect, probably the most, even more than at the university I went to and when I was renting apartments, was when I would receive job trainings in various tech and marketing companies. Every time I would start a new job to get job training, I wouldn't get formal training. Happy Valley doesn't believe in that sort of thing for some reason. So they float around this phrase called trial by fire. And it's a terrible way to train someone. Basically, you're thrown into a job, told a few things, and then receive the training as time goes on. And they think it's so great and so effective, and they don't understand why they have a high turnover. And it basically means this trial by fire. It's companies that were too lazy to put together any formal training period. Like it's crap. Anyway, during my first few days of needing to be trained on something, I would consult my boss, who in small companies that I was at was usually the owner. And I would ask him about how to run a certain software program or a protocol or whatever. And then all they would do is like talk about how easy this task was that needed to be done, but never give clear instructions. They'd be like, oh, it's so easy, and they give you the login information and say like a couple like really blanket statements, like, yeah, just punch in some data and go nuts, it's really easy. And with these programs, they required a little bit more information and skill than that. And then I go back to them and be like, hey, that thing isn't working. And I'm pretty intuitive, but there are some things I just, you need actual training for. And they'd be like, oh, no, it's super easy. And so I asked them to walk me through and show me, and they couldn't. And then they would try to pawn it off on another employee, and the other employee didn't know how to do said task either.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even lie about it. They'd be like, oh, we never did that or whatever. The guy before, the guy before, Mark, he's the one who always did it, And so I would see this a lot, like constantly. Just these small business owners kind of thinking they knew everything when they didn't know shit when it came down to it. It was ridiculous, and it really shined in these job trainings. That should have been my first indicator of how clueless my bosses were, but unfortunately, it was not. Hindsight's 2020 or whatever. But those are where
that is what they say.
I know, right? So those are my grand encounters and that I've had with the Dunning-Kruger effect. Caleb has a really good one.
Probably the best Dunning-Kruger
ever
that you'll ever hear.
I think
mostly because it's also a little bit of a throwback, flashback thing.
Total throwback. Oh man.
So, and I'll just preface this. We already kind of hinted at it already, but here we go, man. I mean, you don't even know how big the Dunning-Kruger effect is.
I feel like I need to mute my mic, and I'm just gonna be laughing.
No, dude, that's
That's how good it is.
So basically, I'm sure that those of you that have been listening to the show for a while, you already know who I'm about to talk about, and you're gonna love it because this guy, known affectionately as the "you don't even know" guy,
you don't even know,
has probably he's probably clinical.
No, he's probably he kind of is. Like, I'm not surprised.
People are probably like, man, I really want to learn about the Dunning-Kruger. Where's the "you don't even know" guy? And then he just like the Kool-Aid guy, he just bursts in through a wall. You don't even know where I am.
You don't even know. Like, just takes his fingers and does like his pointing down thing or whatever.
His little pistols. Yeah. His little pistols. Anyway, so the best example of this, and I'll get to this story just right off the bat because it's great, and I'll maybe touch on a couple others, but the best example is so at the time that I was living with this guy, I had another roommate who was actually a semi-professional surfer in California, right? Super cool guy, still talk to him today. Awesome guy, really funny. And I looked him up when I got home. He's pretty good, when it comes to surfing. He's pretty damn good, and he was telling us, at one point about this instance when he was out surfing and he was going up on these 10-foot waves, and he was just like, yeah, man, it was awesome. And I mean, he's totally one of those like California surfer bro guys or surfer dude guys, and he's just like,
yeah,
and he totally talks that way too. It's really funny. He's like, oh yeah, man, like, dude, like I was on this wave. And that's how he told stories, but it was really funny because even though a lot of people think that those kind of people are like airheaded, but he was actually a really, really bright, really talented, really smart guy.
And that's just like the culture there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the way people just talk and act, it's like almost like a dialect.
Right. And I mean, and this is definitely nothing against him. I seriously love this guy. He's awesome, brilliant, very, very talented. When it comes to surfing, I mean, like I said, I looked up a couple of his videos. I mean, the dude he's talented. He's awesome. He's just a really great guy.
Nice.
So anyway, as we're kind of, as he's kind of telling us about a few of his exploits, I guess you could say, on the while surfing, the "you don't even know" guy pops up out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere.
He just does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like Batman's got like the bat signal that shined up in the sky.
Right.
For the "you don't even know" guy, it's basically anytime someone is sharing some form of knowledge or experience
or
an accomplishment of something.
Right. It's just
there,
immediately...
and it just pops out like through the wall, through the windows, through the walls, and he's like, you don't even know, and just starts going crazy or whatever,
dude. And here's the thing. He said some of and I'll tell you what he said, obviously, but he said some of the most outlandish garbage that I have ever heard.
Did he preface it with "you don't even know"?
Actually, yes, he did, by the way. So for those of you that are waiting for the moment, here it is. He busts up and he's like, dude, you guys don't even know. You don't even know. Like, seriously, I'm a great surfer, And he was like, and he goes, yeah, like my uncle, we took his boat on Lake Powell, and his boat is so big and so fast, it was creating 20-foot waves. And I was like, dude, do you even know how big that is? Like, a basketball hoop is 10 feet high. If you're talking about a 20-foot wave, that is twice the size of a basketball hoop, okay?
This guy doesn't even know.
Like, he doesn't even know how waves work, you know? and he goes, yeah, dude, they were 20 feet. I swear, my uncle, like, he told me. What
kind of bonus is it, like a Carnival cruise ship on Lake Powell or something?
Well, I was like, dude, how big is this boat? And I'm like, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you probably are at least somewhat familiar. Lake Powell isn't that big. Like, it's big, you know, but we're not talking like it's like Lake Michigan or Lake Superior, you know, like
it's like one of the famous lakes of the U.S. Now beating out the actual Great Lakes. It's like the greatest. Yeah, it's like the greatest lake, the best lake. Like, you don't even know.
You don't even know how big it is, you know.
And you don't even know.
We're talking about like a lake that is like maybe 1% of Lake Superior. Maybe. I don't even, and I have no idea. Like, I don't even know, you know, how big it is. But he just goes, and he kept going with it. And I was like, dude, a 20-foot wave inside of Lake Powell would have emptied it. Like, it's not that big. You know, like, we're talking about a tsunami-sized wave happening from a boat moving somewhat quickly through it, you know. But he stuck to his guns, man. You know, and more power to him. But he you know, respect. But he stuck to his guns.
He's powering through the bullshit.
Yeah,
man.
dude.
That's what they do.
But he was just like, yeah, dude. And like, I was riding that wave, like on a surfboard, and it was amazing. It was like the greatest. It was the biggest wave probably.
I'm trying to picture this like a lake with a giant boat,
right?
And it's just like driving by, creating these crazy waves,
right?
And then like he's like right behind it on just at the top of this, like going, yeah, man, you know, fingers down, pointing, you know, just being like, you don't even know, like that image right there. That is, I need to get someone to like paint that
it's a beautiful image.
Yeah, on an amazing like water-based paint or something.
Yeah.
Like crazy nice canvas.
And because it's a wave, it definitely has to be water-based, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, even a word bubble on there says, you know, it's at the top.
Dude, but he just, it was just
that
amazing.
Image, that's what I want.
It was incredible to me that he just kept going with it, because I was like, dude, you clearly have no idea what you're talking about. Like, this kid is a professional surfer, you know? You're, well, a semi-professional surfer. You're just some kid who went to Lake Powell with his uncle. Like, he literally did not know, you know? But, oh man, and he was just like, you don't even know, guys, like, you don't even know, like, the waves were so big. and this was the best part. This is where it got super outlandish. He was like,
I love this. This is my favorite right here, by the way.
It was so big, the fish were coming out of the lake. And I was like, dude, there are no fish in Lake Powell. Have you been there before? I mean, obviously you have, because you rode the biggest wave in human history. That has ever been ridden. Like,
this is my theory too behind this. I think that with that giant tsunami that was created with the Carnival cruise ship, with the 20-foot waves,
that
those waves, you know, the fish were popping out of them so much that it just drained all the fish out of Lake Powell.
Yeah, dude, and
it seems to make sense.
You know what? That's the only explanation that I could give. You know, and he definitely, you know, he must have gone there long before I ever got there, because I mean, every time that I've been there since my childhood,
on this,
there's never been fish.
On this painting, by the way, I want fish popping out of the waves.
I mean, you have to have the fish
as well. It just makes the most sense. And
it makes all the sense.
And just commission these and put them up as like artwork. It's gonna be great. Man, that's what I want. That's what I truly want in life now. Like, you don't even know. Like,
but it was seriously, it was amazing. He just like, and to this day, I bet if I asked him, he would say, "Yeah, it was a 20-foot wave."
Man, that guy, I never tire of hearing about him.
Oh, you never will.
I never will.
Honestly, I could keep going just on stuff from literally just him. But, you know, I kind of feel like, you know, I don't want to go too much.
We got to save some for other shows. We got to milk that idiot for as long as
forever, I could say.
Seriously. Anyway, that's our show. I want to thank Caleb for coming on.
Dude, you don't even know how happy I am to be on the show.
I don't know, and I don't even know. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the MCS1 Show. For bi-weekly episodes on society and counterculture, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For regular updates, show notes, and links, head to the MCS1Show.com or search AOL keyword MCS1.
You don't even know.
Dude, you don't even know, how big those waves were.
Man, I cannot get over that. That is so fucking funny to me.
Yeah, dude. I just looked it up. And tsunami waves are usually at 20 to 35 feet.
I bet that's what he does. Every time a tsunami's about ready somewhere, he's like, dude, I'm gonna book plane tickets and go out there and just ride the waves into the tsunami that's gonna go and crash into the city. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna land in the middle of Midtown and then go get a sandwich. It's gonna be awesome. You don't even know.
You don't even know how great I am at surfing, guys. You don't even know.
Gosh, I just can't get over that.
Dude, but he the thing is that he never broke character on that.
Well, how does he break character? He is a character, man.
Well, I mean, he breaks character by not saying you don't even know.
Oh, I guess that's true.
So there's been 4 or 5 times that I've talked to him in the 10 years that I've known him. Where he didn't start with "you don't even know," and
did the conversations eventually lead to him saying "you don't even know"?
I mean, at a certain point, yes, but I mean, there was one time where he legitimately didn't say it once, and here was how the conversation went. I was like, "Hey, man, congratulations on getting married. Good for you. All that or whatever." And he came back with, "Oh." Now,
he said this to you, or you said this to him?
I sent this to him. And
or whatever.
Or whatever. I honestly
I wasn't there at the wedding and don't expect a gift.
Oh no, I sent him nothing except for, positive goodwill except for positive goodwill for him to live forever, because if he dies, then the "you don't even know" story, it has to die with him,
I don't know. I think it'll live on through the show forever.
I mean, it will, but I'm just saying, I won't be able to talk about it anymore because I'll just, I'll be laughing too hard at a dead man, and apparently that's not okay.
So you wished him well. You wished him well for his wedding.
So I wished him well for his wedding, and he goes, "Oh, thanks, man. It was really great." And I was like, "Yeah, dude. Hey, congratulations again. We'll talk to you later." And then he said, "Okay, bye." And that was the only time it didn't result in him saying, "You don't even know." Which I bet if I would have asked him anything about anything, he would have been like, "You don't even know how great it is." Because it really pains me to say this, but he got married before I did.
Ooh, and obviously me too, but I don't really care much.
Yeah, but I mean, mostly once I found out he got married, I was like, ugh, I guess I better do that, because I don't want to end up like the guy who doesn't get married, who knows the "you don't even know" guy. Because let's be serious, if every time I talk to him after that, he'd be like, "You don't even know, man, having kids is
marriage is so great, you have no idea, marriage is awesome, I love my wife, and it's so great, you don't even know."
And he'd be like, "Dude, you don't even know, my wife is so much better than yours." And that's the thing, is that's a legitimate sentence that he has said out loud. Not to me, because I wasn't married at the time, but he said it to a friend of mine who was married at the time and whose wife is honestly not that great, but she's definitely better than his wife.
I feel bad because I wonder how his wife is. She's got to have.
Do you want me to tell you how she is? Because I've met her.
Not really, to be honest.
Well, it's real simple. It boils down to this: he's from a wealthy family in Mesa. Yeah.
Oh, Mesa. Oh, he's from Arizona. That explains so much.
I know, right? Here's my favorite thing about Arizona people. At least Mesa Masons. Masonians. Whatever they are. I don't care. I don't care about them enough to really learn their lingo. But the thing about them is that at least in my experience, is that all of them treat Utahns like they live in the mission field, and it's like, bro, Mesa is like 40% Mormon.
Yeah, I never see. Here's the thing. I have 2 states that I never want to live in, much less even visit.
Sure.
Florida is number 1, and then Arizona is second. And over the years, the people I've met from Arizona have been terrible. They were always really terrible, but like the more I meet, the more people I meet from there, it's like when I've already established they're a horrible person, and then eventually they'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm from Arizona. I somehow
and then you're just like, oh,
I'm just like, oh, this makes so much sense. That's why you suck. I mean, not everyone from Arizona is terrible. But
no, you can't say that about any place. But
no, definitely not. Like Florida's pretty bad. Hence, every article with someone doing something absolutely crazy starts off with Florida man, blah blah blah.
Right.
Arizona, it's just I'm not sure what it is, and I've met some really cool people from there, and I'm just like, man, how'd you get out normal? It just boggles my mind
so
sometimes.
True.
What'd you say?
It's so true.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. Like when I hear Arizona and he's from there, I'm like, oh yeah, because
like it kind of makes me sad to say it, because I know a couple of guys from Arizona that I like, but yeah, the majority of people that I know from Arizona, I'm just like, wow, you're a miserable dick.
Yeah, like that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
I don't mean that in like any other way than they're miserable dicks.
Yeah, and they're really uppity about something too. I'm not sure what it is. Like
I don't get it.
I don't know if it's
there's
like
not much there. Like what could they be? What could they be all proud about in their state?
I don't know. Cactuses? I mean,
but they didn't accomplish that. It just happened.
Well, as is life, you kind of just write off the accomplishments of others.
I mean, at least like in the eastern states, especially the East Coast states, a lot of those people can say, yeah, we established this country by fighting the Revolutionary War. And then all of us over here were just like, I mean, we did stuff. One time, railroads.
I live in Iowa. We didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm from Texas. I mean, we fought Mexicans. That's our claim to fame.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, remember the Alamo, guys, because if you don't, no one else will remember how awful we were to them.
No kidding. Oh, gosh.
Or how awful they were back, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
But I will say this. A lot of people clamoring like, well, the southern United States should belong to Mexico still. I'm just like, all right, I guess just give them back and see how long they last.
Yeah, let's just give away. I think at that point it's like not to get political. It's like, well, then California's going to break off even more so, and I mean, it's just a anarchy mess waiting to happen.
Yep, much like and
plus we don't want to give it back before we build. I mean, after we build the wall.
Right. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we do it before.
Yeah, we gotta get that wall built.
Have you seen that post where it's like it's a fake, obviously a fake Trump on Twitter, and he's like we're gonna give New Mexico, we're gonna build a wall around New Mexico too. We don't need any of them New Mexicans in here either. And I saw that. I think I put that on our chat one time, but anyway, it was like forever ago.
So funny thing, I was at the gym this evening, and they usually they got all the TVs going in front of the treadmills or whatever.
Sure.
And I usually watch the one with Maury on it, like constantly. I love the.
I mean, why would you not watch Maury?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And
Maury is life.
It really is. So I'm watching the Maury one, but then I look over and the CNN one and the Fox News one had the exact same footage, but CNN was about 5 seconds behind.
Really?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I'm like, am I seeing double here? And full of crusties, and no, CNN was about 5 seconds behind, and In the bottom it was like Fox News, and the other one was bottom logo like CNN. It was weird. Definitely interesting though.
Well, all I know is the guy who sold him that footage definitely made money from both of them. So good on him.
Yeah, it was like same framing and everything. It was pretty cool in a way, but kind of weird.
Dude, I totally want to get like some footage of something where some news outlet, like even like ESPN, which pretends to be a sports outlet, like would reach out and be like, "Hey, we'd like to buy your footage. How much would it cost?" You know, and then have
some fake Bigfoot footage.
Oh man,
everyone seems to be into that. People like
Animal Planet would basically kill for that footage.
Everyone, yeah, like people don't even care if it's real anymore or fake. They're just like, listen, we just need more Bigfoot stuff. Like apparently, there's only so much in the world.
Yeah, which I swear that was already debunked like thoroughly.
It doesn't matter if it's been debunked or not. It's still gonna keep going. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, for like not to get too crazy here, but I mean vaccines, for example.
Oh, gall.
I mean, it's like, yeah, they make it to where you don't, get this sickness, and now everyone's like, no, we're not doing that. I don't trust it. Government mind control and all these
autism.
Yeah.
It's like, my response to that is always, well, I mean, clearly you were one of the victims of early flu shots then.
Gosh,
or vaccines or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if something's debunked. I mean, we can ride the debunk train forever. The bottom line is people are just dumb and they just want to doubt everything, even when the facts are presented in front of them, just because their confirmation biases or their cognitive dissonance from reality is so strong. Especially like essential oils, for example.
It's a big one. That is a very, very big one.
Gosh, no kidding.